Impeachment for President Trump has become too toxic for America. Democrats should collect more dirt on the owner of the White House. In the United States, a political crisis is raging over the impeachment of President Trump. In the House of Representatives of the Congress, which is controlled by the Democrats, where impeachment was initiated, more than half of the votes needed to start the procedure have already been collected. But absolutely everyone is convinced that it will be blocked in the Senate, the majority of which belongs to the Republicans. It is widely believed that Trump's opponents will not receive 2/3 of the votes to force the president to leave the White House. This picture is true, but at the same time suffers from simplisticism. There are important nuances that the meticulous and highly professional large press of America speaks of, but which may not be visible to us from across the ocean. For example, until recently it was assumed that most Americans are opposed to impeachment, considering it the next tricks of the Democrats in Congress. However, over the last week of September, the number of those supporting impeachment grew 13% to 43% of the entire United States population. At the same time, 59% who support Trump's renunciation of power are convinced that the Ukrainian scandal is the reason for impeachment, that the president clearly violated the country's laws and jeopardized her national security. Let me remind you that the crisis began after a telephone conversation between Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. During his course, the US president asked the foreign leader to deal with Joseph Biden, on whose orders the decent prosecutor of Ukraine was once dismissed, and all this was allegedly done in the interests of the son of Biden, Hunter, who worked for the Ukrainian gas company. Everyone who read the transcript of the conversation between Trump and Zelensky, which has become public, cannot have any illusions. After protocol congratulations and assurances of mutual respect, the American president immediately took the bull by the horns and turned to Biden's topic. In many other countries, such a conversation probably would not have caused such a keen public interest. But America is a separate civilization. They decided that Trump, to one degree or another, gives the foreign leader carte blanche to intervene in the presidential campaign. For in 2020, Trump will most likely become exactly Biden. It means that the president grossly violated the American Constitution and betrayed his country. And every day more and more details appear that speak of a certain conspiracy theological character of the whole Trump's operation to discredit his rival. It turns out, for example, that during a telephone conversation with Zelensky in the White House was attended by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and recently appointed Attorney General Bill Barr. These people are from the category of those who are called yes men in America, meaning that they will meekly carry out any assignment of the president. And those who did not support him, Trump quickly dismisses. So it was with ex-Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. He said at a conference in Houston last December, very often the president said, "This is what I want you to do, and here's how to do it." Tillerson answered him, "I understand what you want to do, Mr. President, but I can't do this, it is a violation of the law." In the end, Trump called his Secretary of State stupid like a stone and damn lazy. Trump also fired his former Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, when he, following the advice of his lawyers, refused to investigate Russia's alleged interference in the 2016 elections. Trump was angry. "This is the end of my presidency," he shouted when an independent prosecutor, Robert Mueller, was appointed as the chief investigator, from whom it was not known what to expect. But for Trump, everything worked out. And now there are reliable associates around him who are ready to carry out any errands. For example, it turns out that the current Attorney General Barr had secret meetings with representatives of foreign intelligence, so that they would help discredit the American intelligence services that were investigating Trump's alleged collusion with Russia. According to the Washington Post, the worst fears of the Democrats came true. Those thought that William Barr was just a typical Republican, not Trump's loyalist. But now it turns out that Barr is Trump's faithful squire, ready to fulfill any, even criminal, order. It does not matter that it can cost him dearly if the political landscape in the country changes. But can this landscape be changed if we take it as an axiom that the Senate will not allow impeachment of Trump? But everyone knows that in this life everyone is worried about his own skin. The current owner of the White House has become too toxic for America. In 2016, he came to power on the wave of rejection by most conservative Americans of Obama's presidency, the so-called white lash, racist, white whip, and, of course, thanks to the archaic electoral system, according to which Trump gained more electoral votes than Hillary Clinton, but significantly lost her nationwide vote. And in the new conditions, according to the New York Times, some Republicans, who are also waiting for re-elections in 2020, are increasingly tense, remaining in the ranks of Trump's supporters. And recently, they are increasingly talking about their dissatisfaction with the president's policy towards Ukraine. And among them, we add to this, there has been a quiet murmur for a long time, but is it time to replace Trump with a more adequate Vice President Mike Pence? And, according to the newspaper, if 20 Republicans vote for impeachment, then Trump will be forced to leave. But even if only 8 or 10 Republicans vote for impeachment, this will deprive Trump of the opportunity to continue to accuse the Democrats of the fact that this is only their party machinations. What do Democrats in Congress need to do when they have already launched an impeachment machine to win? Sophisticated American political scientists believe that they need to expand the agenda. Ukrainegate, the Zelensky scandal, this is too little to overthrow the president. We need to collect all the Trump acts of Trump. He once promised to dry the Washington swamp, but was unable to dry the entire American political system. Or if you want, put her upside down. And present to the 45th owner of the White House there is something. This is opposition to Congress, which insists that it file tax returns, enrichment at the expense of taxpayers, which ordinary Americans should not especially like, constant lies in everything, substitution of Congress functions, threats to raise taxes to its opponents like. This list can be easily continued. Donald Trump was not just an infant terrible American policy, he turned into an evil clown from horror films, who is ready to put a real bomb under his ass to his detractors. Washington experts only advise impatient Democrats in Congress, who feel that their time has come, not to rush, but to collect as much dirt on Trump as possible. As you know, the rush is good for catching fleas, but not for impeachment of the president.